Well, hello and welcome to our front yard garden, episode 16 here in 2024. It's May, I'm not even sure what day it is. I think it might be the 24th, kind of guessing at that. It's a Friday, beautiful day, crystal blue skies. It's supposed to be about 82 later. Right now it's about 75, just about as nice a weather as you could get. So we're going to get started here and go through our front yard garden, then our backyard. As always, we start here in the mailbox bed. Our clematis is fading. A few flowers left. These beautiful Giacomini purple flowers. We'll still get a few more of those later in the year, but the large numbers that we had a few weeks ago are largely done for now. But we still have a lot of pansies. These will start to fade before too much longer. They've been doing great all spring, but they do not like the hot weather, and it's going to get a lot hotter probably within the next few weeks here. So these will start to wither, but we're still enjoying the red flowers. Now the ones that will do well are the red ones, the vinca that we put in. They're growing slowly, but they will get bigger and bigger as time goes by. And it looks like now, as I'm looking closer, just in the last week here, we've got some vinca that are coming up, seedlings from seed last year. We had a lot of vinca through here, and more down here. Hopefully these will continue to grow. They came up from seed last year. That was a nice surprise for us. We were very happy with those, and hopefully we'll get lucky again. Otherwise, we've got some zinnias that my wife Jenny grew from seed that she has put in. They're not doing much right now, but they'll get bigger, start to give us some flowers later in the year. We've got one oriental lily here. Actually, I think this is more of an Asiatic lily, and that'll start to give us some flowers probably in another month or two. And then as we come up to the house, it's more of the same. Not a lot of changes since last week in the front yard. There's a few changes in the backyard that we'll get to in the next video. But we've got our purple pansies here. Plants themselves don't look that great because of the increasing heat, but the flowers themselves are still doing pretty well. We've got our miniature or petite knockout rose here. Flowers have really bleached out in the sun, and this really could use a good deadheading if we had the time. Even without that though, we're getting some more buds, as you can see, and before maybe another 3 weeks, I'd say, we should have a lot more flowers coming up on that. But everything does better if it gets deadheaded, so hopefully we'll find the time to do that. Also got this one oriental lily, very small thing, only about 6 inches tall. Has had a small number of buds on it, one bloom right now. And then over here we put in some more lily bulbs. These are not breaking ground yet. We do have a liatris that we put in last year. Actually, it hasn't done a whole lot, but it's coming up. We'll see if it gives us any flowers. We also have our big marigolds. They're looking pretty good. We did deadhead those finally. They're giving us some nice color. And then some more pansies, dianthus mixed about in here. Did a little bit of deadheading. We need to do a little bit more. And then some Johnny jump ups, or little miniature pansies. They're doing well. We've got some dahlias. Jenny was in the garden last weekend doing some rearranging. Got some little zinnia seedlings in here, so hopefully those will give us some color later in the year. Got a Russian sage, still not blooming, but the greenery is doing very well. And so we've got those, and we have our climbing rose. It has struggled somewhat. It's lost a lot of its leaves, some black spot, problems with the trellis falling over, but still it is giving us some nice flowers. and it does have some more buds on it. We've got, interestingly, some black-eyed Susans. That's what this plant is. It's gotten very big this year, and we did not plant these. They all came up from seed, just seeds blowing around. We have a lot of black-eyed Susans in the backyard, but they came up here last year in small numbers. Big numbers this year. They spread very quickly. So the nice thing about these is that they will give us some late season color. This bed tends to kind of finish up by about midsummer for the most part, outside of some of the climbing roses, and those are variable throughout the year. Unfortunately, these have been hit hard by black spots, so you don't see a lot of greenery up here, but they are putting out flowers, so at least we have that. And then of course our clematis, which have already bloomed, but we'll still get a few more flowers out of those as the year progresses. Irises are all done up in here now. We have some phlox, we have some other things that'll bloom later on. And when we come on over here, we've got our hydrangeas, which are, I won't say fully in bloom, but they're pretty close. A lot of different colors of these. These are, this particular one is kind of a lavender color. Some are more of a pink color like this one. And then some, as they're coming out, they have sort of a multicolored pattern. So they're fun to watch. We have a lot more over here. These are pink and blue, but there are far more of the blue ones. But even there, you do get some variation. Ones that are a little bit more purple, ones that are a little bit more blue, and then right next to them, ones that are quite bright pink. And a couple different types. I've got these fairly traditional ones, and then these, which have the little tiny buds in the center and the leaf, or the flower petals around the edge. Just slight variations in the hydrangeas. I'm not an expert on hydrangeas, but they are fun to watch. They give us a lot of color, usually for a good 2 months or so in the spring and early summer. Even have a gardenia here, which has not been full of flowers, but it does have one right now. I see some other buds, so we are going to get some flowers off of this probably over the next few weeks. And I'm not sure how many we're going to get. I see some branches here that I need to take out, but somehow a piece of string. I don't know what that's doing there. Well, we'll worry about that later. Get a few snapdragons, not doing terribly well over there, but these pink ones bloomed pretty nicely about 2-3 weeks ago, kind of finishing up right now. If we can get those seed pods off, they might bloom again, hopefully later in the year. And then we come over to our early spring triangle garden here. Not a ton of activity right now. The viburnum are long since done. The azaleas over here finished up a few weeks back. Iris is all done. Hostas over here, they are just starting to put up some buds, so we'll get some hosta flowers probably in another month or so. We do have one other thing that's blooming, just about to start blooming now, is this hydrangea that's kind of tucked back in. We have another one back there, and it's just starting to give us some little purple flowers, so that's nice. And then we have our butterfly bush. We've talked about this on previous episodes. It needs to be cut back severely, but for right now, it is giving us some very nice flowers. This plant has been in for about 5 years now, and it's just gotten a little bigger than it needs to be, and these do need to be cut back. About half of the what you see in this plant is just dead branches, and we need to cut it back to maybe about 3 feet in height. But I'm going to wait until all the blooms are done. I don't see any butterflies right now, but hopefully we'll get some later today as the sun kind of moves into this part of the yard. These are our knockout roses, big red ones. Really no flowers on them right now. They need to be deadheaded, but it's kind of labor intensive because they're so big and they have so many, hundreds and hundreds of flowers. And you see what happens, they go to seed, and you get those big seed pods which take away the energy from the plant, and then they don't want to bloom. But regardless, if we have some extra time, maybe we'll come out and do that. Need to also cut back a lot of these sprigs that have been coming up. Now these are crepe myrtle. The tree behind us is a crepe myrtle tree, and it will put out some beautiful flowers later in the spring. I'm sorry, later in the summer. It's kind of a July to September flowering tree, but it is very invasive. It has largely taken over this bed, so there's not a whole lot else that we can plant here. And it does have these big sprigs that come up. So this is something, when I have some time, this is actually a bigger priority than deadheading. I need to go through here and just chop all of these out so they don't completely take over the bed. And I thought it was worth mentioning, our neighbors have their daylilies, just natural wild daylilies here in the front, all coming out in bloom now. So that's cool. Most of our daylilies are hybrid and they come out a little bit later. But it's always worth enjoying any sort of color that we can find. And we're going to come over as usual, finishing up with our circle or our oval bed in the center of the yard. Again, we've got some vinca here doing pretty well. These will get bigger and bigger as the year progresses, and they'll last until we get into our frosts. Typically that is early November, but sometimes, like last year, we'll get our frosts in October. Back here, I have always called these beautiful purple flowers just rock candy because I couldn't remember the name. This is actually an annual salvia. A perennial salvia. It comes up every year, and I did not realize it's salvia. So it's actually a fairly common flower. And then over here, we've got these little wildflowers. I do not have a name for these, but they've peaked. They're kind of finishing up right now, mostly just seed pods left. Few flowers though. One last iris here in the front, last bearded iris. So say goodbye to those. We've been seeing them for a couple of months. It's one of the strong points of our spring garden, but they're just about done. And then again, more vinca, pansies. We've got a beautiful oriental lily right in here. This has been blooming the last few weeks. It's bright sort of mustard yellow with the red specks. Beautiful plant. Got some dahlias up in here. Probably will start to bloom in another month. They're not quite ready yet. We've got climbing roses back in here. They're done for the time being, but we will get more flowers as the year progresses. And then monarda surrounding those. We're going to see those close up in a minute. Over this way, just kind of a mix of everything. We've got some daylilies back in here, oriental lilies, our big knockout roses here in the front. They are kind of in between phases right now. Again, they could be deadheaded, and if we had the time, we would do it. We could easily put an entire day into deadheading right now, and probably another whole day into weeding, and it's more time than we typically have. But despite that, things still are doing pretty well. I'll come back to that area in a minute, but I did want to show this side, the monarda that I mentioned earlier. They're just about to start opening up. They have these kind of unusually shaped red flowers. We've got one down here. It's not terribly bright, but this is kind of what they look like. Very, very pretty flower. It's also known as bee balm. We get quite a few through this part of the yard. I've got another one up here that's opening up. Typically they're a little brighter red. This is kind of a very dull red, not necessarily typical for these flowers. And we've got our oriental lilies. A couple of them growing pretty high right now, about 5 feet. And they'll open up in another few weeks. So they just keep growing. And then back over here, we've got our daylilies. Most of these are a bright orange color with ruffles. Absolutely beautiful flowers when they get ready. I'm gonna say maybe in the next couple of days we get our first one. This one looks like it's about ready to open up. So we're almost there. For me, daylilies are kind of the biggest sign of summer. Once those come out, you know, you're even though sometimes they will come out in late spring, you know that summer is not far away. And that's about it for the front. As I said, not a lot that's changed since last week. A few things have progressed, but I also forgot a couple plants that I didn't mention. This coreopsis here, still blooming, has a lot of buds on it, bright yellow, and we have one over here as well. These still have a lot of buds, so hopefully they will continue to bloom for another few weeks. And then our little begonia here that comes up every year, it's got a little partial flower on it. It had several other begonias that were coming back every year until we had a big frost about 2 years ago that killed most of them off. As I look now, I'm also seeing an oriental lily bulb that got dug up by probably one of the local rabbits. Even though I spray every week to keep deer and rabbits away, they still have a way of getting in there and wreaking havoc sometimes, so we have to really be on top of that. So anyway, that's our front yard. We're going to do a backyard garden in a moment. Hope it's sunny wherever you are, and until next time, happy gardening.